Pinnacle Studio. Troy with the intro.
Thanks, Angel. Yeah, Troy Thompson, Pinnacle Insurance. We are very, very excited today to have Mike Elwell on with Ancona Title. Um, I don't have a ton of experience with title. I do know title is kind of similar to insurance, where we're both kind of nurturing the realtors and the mortgage brokers. But Mike is just a super sharp guy. He's been in the industry quite some time, very, very connected, and he's going to offer a lot of value to us today. Mike, how
Yes,
about you start us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into title.
sure, absolutely. It goes way back, a ways way. I got in the mortgage industry back in '99, so I was in the restaurant industry for years, family owned. Totino's Italian Kitchen in Northeast Minneapolis.
Of course.
Yes,
Mm.
ran that for quite some time up until I was close to 30 years old, and then by happenstance, my twin brother who works for us was in the mortgage industry, and got me going that direction. So I had a friend that was opening an office, and that's how I got my start in the mortgage career.
Mm.
So
Totino's, wasn't that right on that kind of the Northeast Minneapolis? Was it like a triangle type
yep,
block?
Northeast Central. If you
Yeah.
remember the
Is
old
that
Banks
still-
building back down there.
Yeah. Is that still there?
No, it's
Totino's is
unfortunately,
gone.
unfortunately.
You
it's,
can
not
learn
there.
a lot in the restaurant industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
In fact, what I did is when I went into the mortgage industry, back then there was some training, but I self-taught myself in the mortgage industry because I was in the restaurant industry. So it pretty much handed me an application and said I'd go out and originate loans. And so I created myself a manual of pre-qualification, pre-approval, et cetera.
You created that for yourself.
Yeah, I created
They
it
didn't
myself.
have it.
No, because I was used to creating manuals and everything else for the restaurant industry. So what happened is kind of a funny story is that I created this and management got wind of it and unbeknownst to me. And I had a new loan originator that started 6 months after I started, came down to the basement where I was officing and said, "Hey, I'm new to the company." I said, "Congratulations." He goes, "No. You're supposed to train me." So that's
After
how
6
yeah,
months?
after 6 months. So that's how I started my training career. So I created an orientation training development program for the company, managed 35 offices, and
This is for the mortgage
so
company.
that was for the
Yes.
mortgage company that I worked for, started off with, and then I transitioned into a consulting and training firm called MinPro. So I took the education even further and started a company where we did consulting and we administered the 15 hours of required education for mortgage people back in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
That
got
just
yeah.
shows the importance of processes and training.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm big
And-
on that.
Oh, and an even deeper or better part of that story is that you just took the initiative to do it.
Yep.
They didn't ask you, they didn't pay
Nope.
you, right?
No. I created a position for myself though
Oh.
after a couple, a year or so. I saw how I was keeping people on board by educating, training, food sales,
Processes.
marketing, everything else. So
Genius.
With that, what drives you? What brought you to that point? Because there are so many people out there with a lot of special gifts that just are not able to, go out there and actually do the work. What inspires you to do the work, Mike?
well, what inspires me is working through, Troy and I had a conversation about this earlier about strengths.
Mhm.
Unbeknownst to me, I didn't really know my strengths at that point.
Mm.
But I have a passion for educating and training and systems and procedures. I just love that. That's the favorite part of my job. So I run, my business through my strengths versus my challenges that I have. And so when I got the idea of about, creating a plan for the company, because I love planning and creating things, that's the passion I have to create something, see it through, and see the results of it. So that was my passion. I love educating other people, love communicating, et cetera. So that's kind of where I brought it through my strengths and created that position for me.
Yeah.
So,
Now fast forward into Ancona
Yeah,
Title.
yep.
How long have you been with Ancona?
I think on LinkedIn, everybody's messaging me for my 6-year anniversary. So yeah, I got into the title industry around 2009. And so we were working with, in fact, another title company to get a class approved for my MinPro to do that, and they were looking for a salesperson. So I decided to jump on board because in 2008,
That was
that
the big
was
bug
that
burst.
was a time where it was a downturn in the market. So unfortunately, we went from 50 people in a class to one. Because everybody was getting out of the business and stuff. So I had to make some adjustments and went from the consulting training to title. So and I love it.
Cool. I want to talk to you about title. I want to talk to you about '08 and '09 and the shift we're going through now. And if you
Yep.
see any similarities
Yep.
about that. So how about you start with that? Like some may say we have a bubble. There's a lot of people in the industry again, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, what's your take on the state of the industry right now?
Well, I think right now, just in my opinion, going forward here a little bit in the future, I think 2019 is going to be a pretty decent year. 18, a little slow down. Interest rates were up 5.25%, about 5%, 5.25. Right now, we have a downturn in interest rates that are about 4.5 right now. So it's in pretty good shape. I think 2019 is going to be the year of inventory. More inventory coming out. We're already up. Probably, I think in 2018, if the statistic is right, it's about 4.5% in inventory. So we're seeing more people listing their homes. In fact, just recently over the last couple of weeks with the order count coming in, I'm seeing more sell sides, a lot more buy sides coming in. So we're picking up
More transactions.
more
all the way
transactions.
around.
Yeah. It's becoming a little bit better. In fact, if you have a lot of people probably sat on the sidelines to sell their property because they had an interest rate of 3.75, and who wants to 3.75 to 5.25 doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, a year later now, if we get down and they're projecting rates to get, anywhere from 4.25 to 4.5, might be a little
where
bit
they are now?
easier. About 4.5 right now. Yeah.
And they're saying that could even potentially go down further.
Potentially, yeah. And the forecasting tools that I use, it looks like, maybe it depending on all these trade deals that are going on with China and everything else, we'll see what happens with that. So it could go, if they get a good deal, rates may go up. If they don't, then that might be a little spook in the market. But back in 2008, I think it's a little bit different. I don't see a major housing bubble, just in my opinion, because back in 2008, back in 2008, from 2000 to 2008, we had a lot of different mortgage programs out there. We had the subprime mortgages, we had the stated income, no doc. We had the pick a payment, the option arms, if you
like
will. So,
Your,
with the economy changing, and then also with these, mortgage products, that didn't probably benefit a lot of people. That was a turn down. I think in this case, in 2019, mortgages are pretty tight right now. There's not a lot of exotic mortgages out there, hardly any, or if any, and people have been qualified. Sometimes maybe
that
a little
helps.
overqualified, and so just they want to make sure that they have the ability to pay the mortgage back. So maybe a recession down the road in the next year, but I think it's going to be a real good 2019 and a strong.
Love the positivity.
So that's one of my strengths.
Yes,
Positivity.
It is. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate here, though.
Yep.
Because I think I saw somebody touting a program where people can get qualified in the 500-ish credit score range.
Yeah.
Which instantly makes me think back to 08, 09.
Yep.
Things are loosening up more and more and more, and people have short memories.
Yep.
So am I right about that?
Putting my former loan originator hat on, I am, and I'm on the title side, so I'm not a licensed originator, but I do see some of the products, and yes, I do see some companies actually coming out with a little more programs that are, I'm not going to say that they're like 2002 or 3, but they're a little more lenient with self-employed borrowers and maybe somebody with more of a challenged credit score. Now, with that said, I think they're still underwriting them, properly and making sure it is ability to pay that mortgage back. So I don't think we're not going to get to the old, school of thinking where you could just provide a business card, get a subprime loan, and have a self-employed loan, and that was pretty much it. They're still underwriting properly and making sure people are qualified. Yeah, but they are loosening up, in my opinion.
Is that good or bad?
Programs. I think it's good. I think it's good for the self-employed borrower. If they have enough, reserves and everything else, and it makes it a little bit more palatable for them to qualify for loans. So I think it's not anything that we have to worry about dangerously, but you want to be aware of it. But if you can qualify conventionally, that's probably the way to go. So yeah.
And you had mentioned, and we had actually talked earlier about some of the forecasting tools you use. Would you mind sharing that one?
Yeah, the one I use that I like quite a bit is forecasts.org, and it's FORECASTS. Don't forget the S there, org. And I don't promote I don't make any money on the company. I just use it as a tool. I've been watching it since 2002, but they have all sorts of great economic indicators that they forecast out. And then you can get it online for 6 months. Otherwise, there's a subscription too, which is pretty reasonable. I think it's like $39 a year or something like that. But you can forecast 30-year rates, GDP, gross domestic product, you know, treasuries, the markets, anything you want, because it's really important that I've used that since 2002, where we navigate that through our business planning process, you know, and where we're looking for, you know, because a couple of years ago we had a little refinance push, and we were able to see that probably 6 to 7 months prior to that happening. We were able to staff up accordingly. So it really, really works when you're doing a business plan.
So forecast.com?
.org.
.org.
Yeah. So
Awesome. Do you see a little bit of a refi boom coming with some of those?
I'm seeing more refi, to be honest with you, right now. When the rates jumped from, you know, to 5.25, now we're at 4.5. Yeah, it was just showing some order count where we had an increase, and we are seeing an increase in refinances. So people are still looking at doing that.
Yeah,
so probably had some equity position now that they've increased over the last year or two. So, but I do see it, and just going off of real time. You know, I can see our refinance department has a lot more production going than they did. In fact, I heard somebody's was one of my clients that I was working with said that they've gotten more refinances in the last 2 weeks than they did about a year ago within 3 to 4 months. Okay. So it's coming. They're coming out.
So all you loan originators out there, don't forget about the refis.
Yeah,
Call your fast clients, right?
Yeah. You gotta make sure, because you want to make sure you're benefiting people too. You know, if they could use the help in consolidation or whatever they needed. So
Mike, I look at you and what you do at Title.
Yes.
A little bit like what I do with insurance, just trying to help out the mortgage brokers and the realtors, help them have deeper relationships, and naturally that'll come back to you. But would you mind sharing with me how you make those connections, what your ultimate goal is, who your customer is?
Sure. Our main customers is pretty much a three-pronged approach. Is realtors, loan officers, and we work with builders too. And we also do commercial as well. So we have a great commercial department. How we build relationships, you know, we're in title. So, you know, we're part of the process. Maybe the process, we sell 2 different policies: a lender's insurance policy or a lender's title policy, which means, you know, if you get a mortgage, you gotta have that. And then an owner's policy to protect your investment up to the value in your equity if anybody tries to come back and claim, you know, or have a title dispute with you. But how we generate our relationships is, you know, we go out and our company's structured a little bit differently than a lot of other title companies, where, you know, we have a direct connect to our people. We don't have voicemail. Generally, we have direct dial, so we can get hold of a live human being. And generally speaking, with title, the closer does a lot of the work, right? What we call a title closer.
Do you do the closing stuff?
I do the doc presenting, and that's how we're a little bit different.
Okay.
Because I'm going to use the restaurant analogy, because I've been in that business for a long time. We have internal closers that are the chefs of the company. So they're at their office and working the files. So they don't have to travel, okay? Because in our industry, when a closer might be able, you know, has to do the opening of the file, clearing title, getting everything ready to go, and then travel off to the closing, right? You know, then they come back to what? Lots of voicemails, lots of emails. So we don't work that way. We have internal closers that are there to meet our clients' needs, our customers' needs. And our salespeople are the doc presenters. We're the servers. The chefs, they hand us the file and they go.
Oh,
so it's very efficient, very flexible. You know, another great thing about our company is we build relationships like this because we don't have, per se, time slots because of the way we're structured. So if you've ever had an issue where you try to get everything's done until you get to the closing table, and then they just don't have the personnel or people, the other title companies, to do it. Well, we don't have time slots, so we're able to, because the way we're structured, we can pick and choose our salespeople that are going to doc present and make it convenient for everybody.
Is that different than, let's say, a Liberty, how they do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's how they do it. In most cases, they do have assistants and processors, but I believe they still have the, you know, closers still traveling and stuff and whenever they need it. So it's a little bit different, yeah, because our salespeople are actually at the table. Normally, account executive will just go out and get the business in and not typically close at the table or doc present. We do that. So
and the numbers don't lie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you told me, Ancona is just blowing up, right?
Yeah. Well, what we did is I started there about 6 years ago, and with a team effort, and we have a team culture. It's a fantastic culture. I started, I think I was number 13 or 14 employee, and we had 1 office location. So,
is it a Minnesota-based company?
Yeah, it's a Minnesota-based company, family owned. Chris Brown is the owner of the company.
How did they come up with the name?
Well, that's a funny story. So but we've been in business 18 or 19 years. I can't remember, but Chris Brown, our owner, wanted to get in the Alta list, which is an American Land Title Association list, because really back then you had to get a list. So we wanted to start with the letter A. Okay, so when setting up the company, he had an attorney that he was working with, and he actually studied in Ancona, Italy for 2 years.
Oh,
So it's actually a
perfect.
coastal
Oh,
town
wow.
in Italy. So that's where the name came from.
That's a good
Yeah,
story.
and so especially me being an Italian, I like it even better because
Oh, yeah,
my
Totino's.
heritage is from the central Italy, but that's how we came up with the name Ancona. But
Love it.
with the systems and some of the things that I was explaining, when I first started there, the light bulb went on. It was just an awesome structure. And so with a team effort, I was the salesperson on there, and I actually brought my twin brother on, Mark. So he's with us today, and we went from, we were doing probably 150, 60, 70 title orders a year. One office location. 6 years later, we've got 13 office locations and about 90 people.
How many transactions a year now?
Well, I think we hit one of our goals, and that's a funny story because 3 or 4 years ago, I had my seminar called the Checkup from the Neck Up. It's a business planning seminar that I do.
I want to
Love
talk
that.
about your seminars.
Yeah,
after this,
yeah,
too.
absolutely. And so I told my brother and another gentleman that was working with us that one day we're in the next year or so, a couple of years, we're going to hit 500 title orders. At that point, we were doing 148 to 160 or so. And they thought, boy, I was crazy, right? Well, with the planning process, when we followed it, we hit 500. Last
Wow.
June, that's total title orders. That's like we do lender services, which are second mortgages, or commercial, residential, new construction, everything. It's thrown in a pot. Last June, we did 1,017.
There you go.
So May or June, I can't remember, but we hit our 1,000. We had our 1,000 mark. Yep, we had our 1,000 mark. So, yeah, so we've been growing, but it wouldn't be if we didn't have the systems in place and the procedures and the planning. I don't know if we'd be here.
Yeah,
But it's
I'm
a great
guessing you're
team
a
effort,
major.
though. It's a great team
Well,
effort.
that's what a true leader does, is
Yep.
talk about the team, but you're a major part. I mean, that's even in your title, biz dev, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
yeah. The development.
bring in, make it rain, so to speak.
Yeah, and we have a great group too. I mean, we've got Kathy Sheldrup out there. That's our peer account executive. So we have one person that just goes out there while the rest of us are closing at the table. But we got Lorelei, Mark, Kathy, Lisa. We got a ton of great people. So, and we're spread out all over the cities. So we're also licensed in Arizona now, Iowa, and everything, in Wisconsin too.
There
So
you go.
we're growing. It's been a fantastic, and that's come to, from the beginning of our conversation. Those are the things that I love to do, is to see something grow, right?
To grow.
Yes.
And I did that for another company. I did that for the restaurant industry, and this is my passion of what I love to do.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And I imagine some of the seminars and trainings that you do
Yes.
will help you grow and have helped you grow. Do you mind
Yep.
talking to us a little bit
Sure,
about what you do?
absolutely. When I first got into the title business, I wanted to see how I could create a unique selling proposition for a business, because title's title, right? I mean, we're necessarily.
Oh, that sounds boring.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we don't. Well, we don't.
Like
We
insurance.
provide title insurance. I mean, we're a necessary, part of the transaction.
Yeah.
You see us at the end because we're doing the documents and walking people through the paperwork. So I wanted to create something a little bit different to create a unique selling proposition for us. And so I actually pulled my strengths out of communication, developer, ideation, positivity, and includer. And I came up with my first seminar because I wanted to. Base our business on a give, grow, gratitude attitude. It's kind of like the 3 G's: give, grow, gratitude, attitude. So I wanted to go out there and just instead of asking people, hey, send me title orders, I wanted to go out and give a little bit by education, right? And doing some coaching and everything else with some agents and loan officers.
Yeah, add value.
Yeah, and I created a seminar. My first seminar is called the Checkup from the Neck Up, and it's a business planning class. Because I firmly believe we have two issues in our industry: is not having a functional database, one, and then not having a plan to promote it. I'll have 20 people in a class, and I'll say, who's got an active business plan? About 3 people will, but are you following it? And that's what we do. But that's kind of we talk a lot about lead generation and marketing and also strengths, working through your strengths and how you do it. Because are you familiar with a SWOT analysis?
Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Yeah, well, we call it a Scott analysis because it's strengths, challenges. So
we don't
we're positive.
here.
We're positive. I teach
Welcome.
people work through their strengths and then outsource their challenges. If you're not good at it, why are you doing it? You know, I'm not good at social media. That's why we have Mandy at our office doing the marketing meeting. I come up with the ideas. She's the activator.
There you go.
So I have a series of 4 or 5 seminars that I do, database management,
Okay.
lead
How
generation.
do people out there listening, how do they get in touch with you to attend one of those seminars?
Absolutely. If you want to get on the distribution list and knowing when these, or get to know when these classes are going to be taking place, you can email me. And you can email me at Mike@Ancona, Ancona title.com, Mike@AnconaTitle.com. And if you feel free, because I can do these out at people's offices too, if they want to help their staff build plans and lead generate marketing, they can also call me and I can get my phone number out. I don't mind doing that. It's 651-239-8298 if they're interested in attending these classes or courses or want to get on the distribution list. In fact, I'm going to have one potentially coming up in April 4th, right up here in Andover.
Willie McCoy's?
Yeah, Willie McCoy's.
Yes.
Plug for them. We got to set the date. It's not. This isn't the beginning of the works, but it's going to be helping our Andover office because we're starting our Andover office and opening that March 1st. Katie Van Brockman and Cheryl Randall will be heading out there, and there'll be a part of our team member and staff out there to do that March 1st. Is
Good.
So
what's
but I love doing that.
what's the topic going to be?
That's going to be the checkup from the neck up. That kind of had that seminar, and I actually brought a little one for me right here. I brought this for you, so you can look at it and review it.
Oh, cool.
But that has a mixture of all my classes, in that seminar. We talk about database management, we talk about lead generation, marketing. I even give questions. So I have a seminar called question-based selling. I even give questions on how to generate referral without having to sell anything while creating your unique selling proposition. So it's
Do you
awesome.
want to give us a quick example of that?
Yeah, absolutely. This really worked for us and how we were growing our business. So essentially, if you have past clients, right, and new agents can use this dialogue too, you just have to change it a little bit. But it's after you have a successful transaction, right, you follow up because a lot of loan officers, and even in my career, I was afraid of doing this. You didn't know what to say to your customer, 6 months down the road, right? And how to generate it because they already got on the mortgage, they already got the house, you're checking in with them.
And this is the realtor or the mortgage broker?
This is either one. It's a
Okay.
realtor or the loan officer can use this dialogue. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward, and it's part of my question-based selling. And so what we did is we call up and say, how do we do for you? Right? You engage in conversation with your borrower and say, hey, how's the family? How are things going? You transition. And I always used to say, I'm trying to better my business in 2016, 19, whatever the year is, and I need your feedback, right? Because I don't, I want to know if I'm doing well or if I did well for you and maybe the potential referrals that you're going to maybe send me, right? So I'd ask, how did I do? A lot of times they'd say, well, you're great. You did fantastic, but it is a qualifying question. So, if you didn't do well, you better ask why you didn't. But, so you're going to ask, how did I do for you? Great. What was one thing I did extremely well throughout the transaction? They may come back and say communication was great.
Some people might be a little uncomfortable asking that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be, right?
You don't know what you don't know, right? And you should ask because it's like if you're building your unique selling proposition, because if you call 10 people and they say your communication or your negotiation skills were outstanding, then guess what you're good at?
Yeah. So embrace
communication.
That, right?
Yes. The third question is, was there something that I could improve upon? Right? Is there something that I could have done better for you? And most of the time, they'll probably say no. You did a great job. Or when we did this, we surveyed 150 people. They said more office locations, more office locations. And guess what we did?
Right?
Convenience and more office locations. We heard what our customers were saying. And that's part of our expansion. So it's like shampoo, you wash, rinse, and repeat, right? So you go back and you validate this. And I would do this on the phone, actually speaking with your clients. I did it by email sometimes, but you never get that. You never get the responses.
The phone is such a powerful tool.
And I think we're going back to old school marketing, and that's what I think too is the personal notes. In fact, you sent me a little package because I am a client of yours, and I opened it. This is so funny. I opened it yesterday, and I got lots of cool stuff, and that was like, all right, now I love this. This is great, and it just a great reminder of how I can refer you. So,
awesome.
Appreciate that. But yeah, back to the wash and rinse and repeat is then you go back and say, so I did a good job for you. My communication was outstanding. Would you refer me? would you refer me?
Don't be afraid to ask that.
Don't ask. And you can leverage that dialogue as aggressive as you want it to be. Do you know of people right now? Or you could just let it organically breathe and say, okay, yeah, but if you call 10 people, 5 of those, or maybe one of those persons, or 2 of those people might say, well, the fact that you call, that's awesome. My brother is looking to buy
10 to
or any
20%.
mortgage. Yeah,
That's true.
it's just a game. But it's just for me, I was never a salesperson that was kind of an in-your-face salesperson. I like to build relationships, and Kona's that way. We're not a transactional business. We're a relationship with these seminars. That's what I'm building, the
Oh, yeah,
relationships.
you're adding value.
Yeah,
You're
adding
instant
value, the give, grow, gratitude attitude, which is we're
Mm.
giving. We're helping people grow their business, and we're grateful for the opportunity just to be in front of those people, and agents and loan officers and builders, and just build that relationship. Does it happen? Do we get some deals right away? Yeah. But over time, they understand who we are, what we do, and the value that we
The
bring to the
brand.
relationship, the brand. So yeah, so that's just the again, just to review those 4 questions. How did I do for you? One thing I did extremely well. One thing I could improve upon, and would you refer me?
Mm.
But you got to ask and listen, and that's the key component, is ask and listen, and get that information and build your unique selling
Great
proposition.
stuff,
That's
Mike.
some of the stuff, and I always do that. That's some of the stuff that we ask our clients, and we do with our customers, and it's proven. It works.
Oh, yeah.
It works.
Love it.
Question-based selling works. That's one thing that we teach our people.
Thanks
is
for
to
saying. I
listen.
mean, you
Yeah.
are just so knowledgeable when it
Just
comes to
sharp.
this stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Love it. Anybody who wants to find Mike Elwell, just imagine Google Mike Elwell and Ancona, and you will find
Yep.
all the contact information
Yep.
you'll ever need.
And
Yeah.
before we get to our favorite part of the speed round, there's a couple comments for you,
Sure.
Mike. The first one's from Crystal, says, Ancona is the title company above and beyond all of the rest. Thanks for all you do, Mike and Ancona team. And then
Crystal, thank
Sean
you.
says, Mike, I'd like to talk to you.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
follow up
There
with
you go.
that.
Appreciate
Oh,
it.
love it.
That's awesome. I'm so grateful for those comments. Thank you. That's the best piece of that, when you hear comments like
I
that.
love it.
We know we're doing the right thing.
Speed round, my favorite
All
round.
right,
Gosh, here we
Love
go.
Here we go.
I
Buckle
better
up.
need a
Well,
cup
let-
of,
give
need
him a sip,
need a
give
sip
him a
of
sip.
coffee for the speed round. Okay.
Text or talking?
Talking 150%.
Yes, as we could tell. What a great speaker.
150%.
Favorite day of the week?
Favorite day of the week. I would have to say my favorite day of the week is Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Love it.
most people get the Sunday blues. I don't. I look forward to getting to work next week, but it's a nice day to just decompress.
Yes. Day of rest.
Your favorite U.S. city besides the one you live in?
Favorite U.S. city? Wow. I love Minnesota so much, and I've been to some other cities, but I would have to say probably Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix,
I'm
Arizona.
actually going there next week.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going there. The reason why I like it, they have the Cactus League, so I bring my 14-year-old son down to the Cactus League and watch all the Major League
Oh,
spring
super
training.
I
So,
love-
yeah, so that's fun.
I love me some
Yep.
baseball as well. Nickname your parents used to give you as a kid.
Nickname. They never gave me a nickname. My friends did.
What was it?
It was Spanky, to be honest. Yeah, so
I love it. This
I
is
don't
a
know,
great
it was
story.
like
That's a good
Rascals, whatever, Spanky. So
Love it. The last song you downloaded
I don't
or played.
download songs, but the last song I did play, I would have to say, um, you've seen the movie Rockstar?
Of course, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We All Die Young.
I
That was the
love
last
that.
song I listened to. To be
love
honest
it.
with you, that's my favorite.
That is such a
my favorite.
great
Yeah, it's a
song.
good song.
Love it. The next place you'd like to travel the most.
Oh, I'd like to go back to Italy again. I was there in 1988, and that would be a wonderful experience to get back there again, because I was 18 when I was there. I'd like to do it when I'm a little bit older now. So,
You'll do it.
Yeah.
That's a
Your
good goal.
favorite junk food.
favorite junk food?
That guilty pleasure.
Oh my gosh. It just happened to me yesterday. Someone brought in some sea salt caramels. Those are so good. Have you had those sea salt caramels?
Yeah,
I'm a
Junk food is, I like chips and all that stuff. That's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Your favorite childhood TV show.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I would have to say probably the one growing up, there's probably 2. Chips, number 1. And then there was the Saturday night lineup in the 70s with Fantasy Island, Saturday Night Live.
Blaine.
Yep, and all those. And that was pretty cool too. But I'd have to say Chips was probably my favorite one.
Awesome. And you're the last one, the one that I always like is your favorite Minnesota restaurant. I'm always looking for somewhere to eat.
Well, it's Totino's. I mean, but,
Yeah,
that was my
right.
favorite. But favorite restaurant? Boy, oh boy, that's a tough question.
It
Because I'm
is.
a food. I love food.
Since you're Italian, let's drill down. Let's say what's your favorite
Yeah,
Italian.
restaurant. That's a tough one too. I like them all, but I guess the one that I used to love to go down to, I'll tell you my favorite steak place
Yeah.
is Arden Hills. And
Lindy's.
Lindy's, yes. We
Ooh.
love Lindy's. I love that place. A great
Oh.
steak. The porterhouse up on 35E there in Locana Road's good too. But
Kinda
a
hidden.
pasta place, I don't know. there's so many
How about
good
Buena
ones.
Sera in
Yeah, I like.
Champlin?
Yeah, you know what the one I really like is the one over off of Lilydale. Or Journals, they have this great,
Never been there.
yeah, they have this great
Mm.
little deli area where you can go for lunch, and then they have Ione is the restaurant. Italian, it's really nice.
Okay.
So, right off the river too.
Check that
Beautiful,
out.
beautiful.
Love it.
I like that round. That's kind of
Awesome.
That's
cool.
fun. Mike, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
Thanks so
joining
much,
us.
You're
Mike. It
welcome.
was
Such
so
a
fun.
sharp guy.
Yeah.
Like I
No,
said, if
thank
you
you.
guys want to get in contact with him, he's got 20 ways to get in contact with him. He likes to
Yeah.
talk on the phone more than text. So
Yeah.
let's talk on the
Mike
phone.
Elwell and Ancona Title.
Yep.
Love it.
Thank
This has
you.
been Angel Talamontes with Quick Leads Local
Appreciate it.
Troy Thompson, Pinnacle Insurance.
from the Pinnacle Insurance Studio. Until next time, guys, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Grateful. Thank you so
Have
much.
you on again.
And thanks for me having me as a customer. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Back at you. All right, cool. Great. So,
What a good podcast.
you are awesome, man.
Thank you.
Here, I'll take this out for you.
Who is it? Are we off now?
Um,
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
There you
give me
go.
1 second.
Make sure to hit share so we don't lose it. That way it stays on. Just hit share button.